let's start discussing today's topic, friends. So today's topic is circular motion. Now, when we talk about circular motion, you can see these are various examples, okay, of circular motion which is happening around us, in day-to-day life. These are the pictures showing. So here you can see the electrons also move around the nucleus in circular motion. The planets basically they move in elliptical orbits, but then it's closer to circular. Therefore, we consider it as an example. Giant wheel, okay, a circular track, running track you can see. So that's where we come across circular motion in day-to-day, okay, life basically. So let's talk about it, circular motion. And Chaitali, I'll let you know about it after the session gets over. Okay. Now, in this case, when we talk about circular motion, we need to define certain basic things. Okay, let's understand. Now, when this circular motion can be considered as uniform. Okay, so basically there would be two types of circular motion possible. So when is it uniform? When you can see the tangential speed is constant. Okay, I'll show it in form of a picture also. You can see when I'm saying tangential speed, say for example, I want the direction of tangential speed at this point, I will draw a tangent to that point on the circle. So this is the direction of the tangential speed. Okay, and I'm saying speed, not velocity. The velocity is tangent, but the magnitude of the velocity will remain constant. And you can see if I want the direction here at this point, the direction is going to change because this tangent will keep on changing the direction. So velocity won't remain constant, but its magnitude will remain constant. And that's what I mean to say. Constant tangential speed, if it moves along with, we will consider such motion as uniform circular motion. So please make a note of this quickly and just give me feedback so that we move ahead. So this is just a start of the concept, okay? We will just develop some basic definitions for this. Okay, so most of you say done. Let's move ahead then, friends. Please make a note of this slide also, where you can see the velocity is tangent to the wheel, but the magnitude is constant. That means the direction is not constant, okay? Only velocity will remain constant in terms of magnitude. Yeah, so most of you say done. Let's proceed further. There is an interesting aspect basically. Whenever circular motion has to happen, then in that case, you see, there would be a force or there would be some acceleration which will be always pointing towards the center, you can see. The first arrow is giving you the direction of the velocity, tangential velocity. The second arrow you can see basically is the direction of acceleration and it is directed towards the center. So unless and until there is some acceleration which is directed towards the center, this type of motion, that means the circular motion, is not possible. So for circular motion to happen, there is a concept called as centripetal acceleration, which we would be studying further in greater details. Please make a note of this, and then we start establishing some definitions to understand circular motion. Okay. So most of you say done. Let's proceed then. Just give me a moment. I will share a new slide with the people. Okay. So we will start, defining certain parameters for circular motion. So first of all, let's define circular motion technically. So you can see the particle, the blue particle in the animation, it's moving along the circumference of the circle. So such type of motion where the particle moves along the circumference of the circle, we will call such motion as circular motion. So here comes the definition for you people. The motion of a particle along the circumference of the circle is called as circular motion. Okay. Now this circular motion can be of two types. The first one is uniform, which we abbreviate as UCM. UCM का मतलब है uniform circular motion, friends. Right. Now how do we define? And the other type would be non-UCM. Okay, non-uniform motion, circular motion. When we say UCM, uniform circular motion, just now I told you, if the particle moves with constant speed, see I'm saying speed because the velocity is going to remain constant only in terms of magnitude. Direction wise, you can see the tangents will change the direction. Therefore, I'm saying constant speed and I'm not saying constant velocity over here. Such motion is called as UCM. Second type will be non-UCM or non-uniform circular motion. Now, obviously, if it moves with variable speed, then such type of motion will be considered as non-uniform circular motion, friends. Please make a note of this before we proceed forward. Okay, great, no problem. So let's move ahead then, friends. The first thing which we need to define while understanding circular motion is radius vector, which is represented by the notation r bar, you can see. Okay. Now, when we talk about radius vector, let's understand this diagram once again. Okay. So here is a particle which is performing circular motion as seen in the animation. So say the yellow dot stands for the center. Now, if I join the center and the particle, you can see I'm joining the center and the particle, okay, with the help of some vector. So that vector is called as radius vector. So for this position, it is say R1. The time changes, the position will also change. You can see the animation. Time changes, the position changes, and the radius vector also changes in direction, I'm saying. Not in terms of magnitude, but in terms of direction. So how do we define radius vector then? It's a line segment joining the center of the circle and the particle directed towards the particle. See, you can see the arrow is directed towards the particle. So this is the definition for radius vector, you can see. For a different position, again, you can see the radius vector will have a new direction and so on. It will keep on continuing like this. So let's define it then. Circular motion, the vector drawn from the center of the circle to the instantaneous position. Now, when I'm saying instantaneous position, that means the position at a given instant. The instant changes, the position is going to change because it's a dynamic process, right? The vector will also change its direction, right? So again, coming back to the definition, in circular motion, the vector drawn from the center of the circle to the instantaneous position of the particle is called as radius vector. So here you can see they won't be equal in terms of vector, but in terms of magnitude, you can see the modulus is same. But the direction wise, they are not same. The direction keeps on changing. You also call this radius vector as position vector at times when you analyze motion in two dimensions differently. Obviously, because it's the distance, the unit will be meter. And when we talk about dimensions of radius vector, it will be m0, l1, t0, friends, because it has only relation related to length. Please make a note of this before we proceed further. So the first definition in circular motion which we have defined is regarding radius vector. Okay. If you are done with this, please. Yeah. Okay, friends. So this is the first definition which we have defined so far as circular motion is concerned, and this is the definition pertaining to radius vector, friends. So hopefully you have noted this down, I believe. So I believe the concept regarding radius vector is very clear to you now. There shouldn't be any doubt in your mind when we talk about radius vector here onwards. Okay, fine. So most of you say done. Let's move ahead. Let's try to define the next terminology in circular motion, and that is angular displacement. See, all the time in motion in one dimension, we have seen linear displacement. Now, because this is a circular motion, the displacement has to be measured in terms of angle. You can see again, let's get back to the same animation where a particle is performing circular motion. You can see at t equal to 0, it is at some position, a specific position shown in the diagram. Say that position is A, okay? Join it with the center and let r bar be the radius vector. Now this radius vector, if the time changes, you can see it's going to change its position. It moves to position B. And this radius vector, because the time changes in the motion, what's happening? This radius vector is subtending some angle at the center. Hopefully you observe this angle. That angle we can consider, you can see this angle I'm talking about. This angle is represented by the notation theta, and we call this theta as angular displacement. So how do we define angular displacement then? The angle traced by the radius vector in a given time is called as angular displacement. All right. This is how we define it, and this is the symbol. Symbol is theta. Okay. In terms of circle, which we have studied in geometry, you can always put theta in terms of arc length divided by radius. We know this formula very well. The next thing which we can say, arc length, if say length of arc AB is S and radius is R, then theta can be established as S divided by R fronts. So you can see in the diagram S is being shown over here. So in small time interval, so whenever we talk about a very small time interval, or we also call it as infinitesimal. This infinity is on two sides. Larger side we call it as infinity, but there has to be some infinite value at the smaller side also. We call it as infinitesimal. Okay. So the particle moves from B to C, you can see. Okay, very small time interval. Therefore, this notation is being utilized. We call this as delta t or del t. Right, del t itself means very small, infinitesimal. You can see. Yeah. So obviously, if the time is greater, comparatively theta will also be greater. Time is very small, infinitesimal. This theta will also be very small. So in that case, the angular displacement will be very small, and therefore it will be given by the notation del theta here. You can see. So for t, the angle is theta, but for del t, the angle is del theta. So we call such infinitesimal angular displacement. You can see del theta is infinitesimal angular displacement. That means a very small angular displacement. So it's a dynamic process. Okay, so there are two things we have studied. We have seen what theta is and how to represent a small angular infinitesimal angular displacement with the help of notation del theta. The unit for angular displacement, you all know it's radian. We have studied it, studied fundamental units. So obviously the dimensions will be m0, l0, t0. Okay. So this is how we keep on studying the dimensions of a quantity continuously, friends. Please make a note of concept of angular displacement. This is the second terminology which we have studied so far as circular motion is concerned, friends. Make a note of it and let me know. Yeah, so most of you say done. Let's proceed further then. Okay, let's go ahead. let's compare the difference between finite angular displacement and infinitesimal angular displacement. That means from the previous diagram we are comparing theta and del theta. Okay, what's the difference between these two? Okay, so del theta is infinitesimal angular displacement and theta is finite angular displacement. Infinitesimal means the time span is going on, the change is going on. Here the change is completed basically. Let's see. Okay. So finite angular displacement, friends, it will happen in finite time t, and infinitesimal angular displacement will happen in infinitesimal time t, del t in this case, very small. Symbol is theta, you can see here the symbol is del theta. Obviously it's finite, so the direction is fixed now, so it does not obey the vector addition law. It's not a vector. Finite angular displacement is not a vector, but infinitesimal displacement is a vector. Why? Because the process of defining del theta is going on. Therefore infinitesimal will be considered as a vector, whereas finite angular displacement won't be considered as a vector, friends. These are the minute differences which you should know. Okay, obviously the rule as per the direction is given by right hand rule, which we have used in cross product, friends, if you all remember. Make a note of it before we move ahead. So hopefully you have understood the difference between finite angular displacement and infinitesimal angular displacement. Please let me know once you are done with it. Okay, so most of you say yes. Good. Let's proceed further then, friends. The next terminology which we need to understand so far as circular motion is concerned is angular velocity. Just like linear velocity, how do we define linear velocity? Linear displacement per unit time. So we are going to define angular velocity. It's denoted by the notation omega, which looks like small w, you can see. It's a Greek notation. We call it as omega. Okay. So we define the angular velocity as rate of change of angular displacement or angular displacement per unit time, you can see. Again, we are talking about the same old diagram for circular motion. Say theta 1 for position B, and you can see it moves to theta 2. So angular displacement will be theta 2 with respect to original point. And therefore, you can see if the angular displacement changes from theta 1 to theta 2 in time t, then you can consider omega as change in angular displacement divided by time. So what is the change in angular displacement here? Theta 2 minus theta 1 divided by time is angular velocity. So this value will be called as average angular velocity, friends. Okay, because the time span is fixed over here. Okay, so it's also vector quantity, and the direction is given by right hand rule. We will be discussing that rule also. Unit for angular velocity, obviously in the numerator it is radian, and the denominator for time it is second. So the dimensions for it would be m0 l0 t raised to minus 1, you can see. So this was the story regarding angular velocity, friends. But remember one thing, if it's a small angular displacement given by del theta in time interval del t, small time interval, then angular velocity will be given in terms of limiting action. Okay, understand how we denote it. Okay, limit lim stands for limit del t tending to 0. Limit del t tending to 0 means del t is very near 0, but it has not become 0. Very near to 0 is del t, and you represent this as del theta by del t. So you are just putting the value for angular velocity at a given instant, which also can be represented as d theta by dt, friends. So the same thing can be represented as d theta by dt, but here it was an average value. Here it's an instantaneous value, you can see. So friends, please make a note of this, okay? Angular velocity in greater details for you. Once you are done with it, please let me know. Yeah, so most of you say done. Let's proceed further. Okay. So you might know now we have discussed the terminologies like angular velocity, angular displacement, and radius vector. All right. Let's proceed further then, friends. The next thing is angular acceleration, and it is denoted by the notation alpha. You can see. Obviously, it's a vector quantity, therefore alpha bar. How do we define linear acceleration? Linear acceleration is rate of change of linear velocity or change in velocity per linear velocity per unit time is linear acceleration. So angular acceleration, if we define, it will be rate of change of angular velocity or change in angular velocity divided by time will give you angular acceleration, friends. Okay, so let's put it on paper. You can see the rate of change of angular velocity with respect to time is called as angular acceleration. So the same diagram we are talking about, at position A, it moves to position B. So with angular velocity, say omega, there onwards, and the angular displacement is theta 1. From B, it moves to C. The angular displacement is theta 2, but the angular velocity is omega 2. So the angular velocity has changed, you can see, from omega 1 to omega 2, and therefore in form of an equation we can put alpha as, you know, you can see alpha as average angular acceleration given by omega 2 minus omega 1, that is change in angular velocity divided by time t, small t, you can see. Now when we talk about change in angular velocity, obviously change in angular velocity is radian per second divided by second. So the SI unit for angular acceleration alpha would be radian per second square, friends. And correspondingly the dimensions would be m0, l0, there is something related to time in the denominator, that is 2 times, so t raised to minus 2. Now the way we have represented alpha, this is for a finite case, okay, average angular acceleration. But if it's again infinitesimal change, so infinitesimal change is denoted by del omega, you can see, in time del t. Then alpha again will be given in limiting value. So alpha will be limit delta t tending to 0. You represent it as del omega by del t, as we have represented it earlier for instantaneous velocity, angular velocity. Okay. So alpha or instantaneous angular acceleration will be given as limit del t tending to 0 del omega by del t, which can also be represented as d omega by dt. Very, very important aspect. Okay. So for understanding circular motion, we have studied 4 aspects. Okay. 4 terminologies. First one is radius vector. Second is angular displacement. Third is angular velocity. And the fourth one is angular acceleration with greater details basically. Make a note of it. Once you are done with it, let me know. Yeah, so most of you say done. Let's move ahead then. Okay. Again, I'll summarize what we have studied as of now. We have studied the definition of circular motion and various terminologies associated with it, like radius vector, angular displacement, angular velocity by omega, given by omega, and finally angular acceleration denoted by the notation alpha. Okay. Now all these things, okay, angular velocity, angular acceleration, angular displacement, the direction, because they are vectors, the direction is given by right hand rule. So what it says is, imagine the fingers of the right hand to be curled and thumb to be outstretched. So basically you can see, if you imagine the fingers, curled fingers as circular motion like this, the outstretched thumb will give you the direction like this. Okay, that's going to give you the direction for all the three. That is del theta means angular displacement. Second, you can see angular velocity omega, and the third thing will be angular acceleration. So this is how you need to understand how we work out the directions of angular displacement, angular velocity. Correspondingly, I'll show you how we work out the direction of angular acceleration as well with the help of right hand rule. Make a note of it. The outstretched thumb is giving you the direction of all the three, and the curled fingers indicate the direction of circular motion. Yeah, so most of you say done. Let's proceed further then. Let's move ahead. So if angular velocity is increasing, the direction of alpha is same. You can see in this case. Angular velocity is increasing, angular value of alpha will be in the same direction as per right hand rule. But if angular velocity decreases, then you can see, the direction of omega will be upwards, but the direction of alpha will be downward, because it will be a negative acceleration then in that case, just like retardation. So very, very important case. Make a note of it. Hopefully you have noted this down. Okay. Highly see to it that you are in on the mute mode. So